Trump transition. Let's turn now to our political analyst, Brian Sobel. And I want to first, Brian, talk about something that Lauren just mentioned, and that is Donald Trump separating himself from his global empire, leaving it to his children. Will this avoid possible conflicts of interest, do you think?
Well, to the extent that he can be president and watch an empire be run by his, what he calls his children, well, if he can do that, that'll be fine. But they have global interests, they have national interests, and he's the president of the United States.
Right.
He's going to have to be very careful about that.
What do you think about the cabinet picks so far, and specifically, what do you think about Mitt Romney becoming Secretary of State?
Well, I think Mitt Romney would be an excellent choice because Mitt Romney and Donald Trump didn't get along very clearly. It would show that he's willing to reach out and bring in a steady hand. It's a big job. I'm kind of surprised, really, on one level, that Mitt Romney is ready to head out on a world tour that'll last years as Secretary of State. Today we saw Condoleezza Rice show up at the transition headquarters and meet with Vice President-elect Mike Pence. Don't know what that is about. She's already served as Secretary of State, as we know. So these picks, Frank, to answer your question, are coming together slowly. He's reached out to some people who are outsiders and some insiders.
Yeah, as someone who follows politics, what can you learn from Donald Trump so far with how he's handled these picks and who he's looking at?
I think he's putting together a mix of new blood and people who understand Washington, D.C. And I think that's smart. He made a promise that he was going to be a change agent, and so he can't bring in all insiders, and particularly around the selection for a Treasury Secretary, a total outsider, somebody who hasn't served in government at all, but knows the monetary system. As long as he does that, it's going to work out okay.
Another name that's surfacing is Sarah Palin as potential head of Veterans Affairs.
Yes, that one is surprising to me.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I don't know that you wouldn't want somebody who has a long history of working with the military and that sort of thing, really understands the problems. That's taking nothing away from her. She was first rumored to be they were looking at her for Interior Secretary. Interesting choice. But the VA, of course, has ongoing issues.
A lot of issues.
Yep, that maybe she can help solve.
Let's talk about the air conditioning company.
Yes.
And Donald Trump basically keeping his promise to a certain degree, saying, I'm not going to let jobs go to Mexico or other locations overseas. And here it looks as though he has kept 1,000 jobs from leaving the country.
Huge. This was the Carrier air conditioning company that you'll recall he talked about over and over during the campaign as taking all these jobs to Mexico. And I think the work of Mike Pence and the president-elect on this, keeping 1,000 jobs, maybe 1,100 jobs in the United States, fulfills his promise. He's got other now companies coming forward saying, hey, how about our jobs?
All right, Brian Sobel.
Yes.
Always nice to have your insight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good to see you.